There's the drinks trolley. I was wondering whether it was going to turn up.
Yes.
David Jacobs Memorial
Yes.
Drinks Trolley. What are you selecting from the trolley for us today?
Well, it's still quite rainy and miserable here today, so I thought a nice spiced rum. And either ginger or Coke, however you would like your mixer to be, but that'll be nice and warming.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Today's confession comes from Trevor. Not Nigel.
Not Nigel.
Not Nigel.
Father Simon, I want to seek forgiveness on behalf of my late father. I will take you back to the year of 1990. Aged 19, I was on my final family holiday with my parents, and this year it had been decided to take the long drive from West Sussex all the way to the Spanish capital, Madrid. It would take us a week to get there, because getting there is half the fun after all. We set off one August morning in our lovely jet black Austin Montego saloon. Montego. Our Austin Montego saloon, I always got that wrong, with beige trim and state-of-the-art CD changer in the boot. I love those. Wow. They were great.
Wow.
Our journey took us across the channel to Saint Malo and then down the west coast of France. As was usual for our holidays, we hadn't booked any accommodation ahead, but we had previously stayed in a hotel chain called Hotel Campanile. They were quite distinctive with a green logo. Why are you laughing?
Right, okay, go on.
Hotel Campanile.
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Yes, it is.
I haven't changed the name or anything.
Really?
They were quite distinctive. They had a green logo intended to be located slightly out of town.
Yes.
So we often tried... You sound as though you know what you're talking
Yes, I do.
about.
But go on.
You sound as though you might have a story. So we often tried to seek one of these out whenever we arrived in a new place. So we checked into one of these campaniles in a small town called La Baule, close to Saint-Nazaire, near the mouth of the Loire River. It was very hot. I haven't changed anything, as you can tell.
This is
very
amazing.
specific.
Go on.
It was a very hot day. We quickly headed off to in the Montego to the beach with 2 room keys, numbers 12 and 13. From memory, it was about a 20-minute drive. Around 6 o'clock in the evening, we got back into the roasting hot Montego with plastic to roast your thighs. I remember those. Back to the hotel we went, and that's where the problem started. You see, we'd been a tad hasty in our desire to hit the beach, and we hadn't taken too much notice of the location of the hotel. We drove back via a one-way system, looped around a couple of times, and found ourselves back where we started. My dad wasn't blessed with a great deal of patience, and he started to get slightly agitated and flustered. Now, I had given up French at the first opportunity, and my parents' vocabulary was somewhat limited, to the extent where my mum could only say, "Sur le pont d'Avignon."
Very good.
After some obscure song she learnt at school. That's not an obscure song, that's a classic 15th century French.
The Pont
Sur le pont
d'Avignon.
d'Avignon. On y danse tout le rond. And so on. Anyway, that's all she could say. We drove around a bit more and then succumbed to finally asking for directions. It went a bit like this. My dad, avez-vous direction pour Hotel Campanile, s'il vous plaît? Our replies were either a shrug, a Gallic shrug, of course, or a series of gauches and droites, and that appeared very complicated. We tried again, but clearly we had lost our hotel. Then my dad formulated a new plan, and it started with the term right. He spotted a young French family enjoying a nice picnic in the evening sun in a park and pulled the car up alongside. He then told my mum to get into the back seat and left the passenger door open. Striding up to the family, he again asked for directions to the Hotel Campanile, but this time he asked for a bit more cooperation. He then pointed to the man, then to the passenger seat of our car and said, "Vous, ici." The man looked slightly puzzled and worried, but my dad reiterated, "Vous, ici." The man walked over to our car, looked at myself and my mum in the back, turned to my dad and said, "Moi, ici." "Oui," said my dad, "Vous, ici," pointing at the car. The man then called his wife and child over and they chatted away for a minute or so before packing up their picnic. Amazingly, the man agreed to get into our car.
What?
I wouldn't have done.
No.
And would direct us whilst his wife followed us in their vehicle. He took us away from the beach area and onto a dual carriageway. We then quickly realised we were going to head over the Saint-Nazaire Bridge, a large suspension bridge spanning the Loire. It was an opportunity for my mum to say, "Oh, I know this, sur le pont
d'Avignon. Yeah.
Anyway, Oui, the man replied, sur le pont, looking ever more confused, like, what's that got to do with anything? Now, it did seem a bit strange that we were heading over this bridge, as we certainly had not arrived that way, but we exited off at the first junction, took a couple of turns, and then the man proclaimed, Voila, l'Hôtel Campanile. We were indeed outside a Hotel Campanile.
Yeah.
The slight issue was that it wasn't ours. So we'd basically kidnapped a poor Frenchman to take us to the wrong hotel that we weren't staying at. To the man's dismay, we explained that this was not our hotel. He looked very perplexed, but then my dad produced one of the room keys. It had a large wooden key ring with the number 12 on it. And that was all. The man looked at the key, pondered, called out to his wife, who was wondering what the hell was going on, and got back into our car. D'accord, he said, on y va. It was now completely dark, but we set off again, back over the bridge. Wow! Sur le pont, says my mum.
Yes, of course.
Back through the town of La Baule, and finally to a hotel with a green sign outside that looked very familiar. He had found it, I don't know how, but somehow he'd recognised the wooden key ring. And after many mercies, we said our farewell to our Good Samaritan, and he would finally rejoin his family. But we need the forgiveness, please, for that French family, for spoiling their picnic, for kidnapping their dad, speaking terrible French, and reiterating, the French view that the English were all crazy. It's Trevor's tale, a strange tale, Hotel Campanile kidnapping. Sister Susie, the voice of authority.
Oh, well, Trevor, I do feel for you, but your dad clearly kidnapped someone. And, it's never a good idea when someone who's already grumpy starts a sentence with right.
Correct.
You know that's never going to end well. And therefore, I can't forgive you because that poor family.
Brother from another gutter.
Qu'est-ce que c'est la fage? I am going to forgive just because of the VU EC and sur le pont. We are on the bridge. Thanks very much. Lovely. Yes, sur le pont d'Avignon. Definitely. I mean, it was a lovely day out for everyone involved, wasn't it? Even the French family, they enjoyed their time. That's what I